All right, now to something serious. A major worry for parents is letting their kids stumble across something online before they're ready. You know what I'm talking about, that kind of content. Well, for help, we are turning to Ballard therapist Jo Langford, ahead of his virtual talk and recovery cafe's Kids and Screens series. The other day, I let my children play this innocuous game on the iPhone, and all of a sudden I hear from next to me, "How do you know if he's cheating?" And I was like, what? And it was some other super risque game that they were advertising. And oh my goodness. So my question is, what age should we start preparing them to be exposed to this?
I mean, it depends kind of on some of the topic matter, but ideally you want to start having these conversations around safety, just sort of in general, the second you put a connected device into your kid's hands.
My daughter is 8. She's not really, I don't let her communicate online with others, but there is some of that starting to come in.
So then talking about what that looks like and who that is with is the primary conversation for that. And so for kids of that age, really, I kind of call out like a short list, like the number of people you can talk to, like you can count on one hand, right? So maybe that's like your cousin or your best friend who lives next door, that's grandma, that's grandpa, that's me, and so that they know that if there's anybody else that's not on their hand that tries to communicate with them, that they can say something about that.
All right, let's move ahead to let's say age 13.
So that's sort of like rib deep in middle school at that point. And what you want the conversations to be, I would say, probably is more like giving kids a heads up about what happens in terms of like, people sending things with sort of overt sexual content, cyberbullying, phishing scams. Like just give them a heads up, like these things will happen to you. They happen to all humans who interact through screens. They will happen to you, and this is our value around it as a family. This is how I want you to handle that when that happens. So that I think would be the first one for that age. And then the other one is just reminding them that the internet is forever. Like everything they do, they leave a digital trail of breadcrumbs behind them that is going to kind of show people who they are. And it's really important. Most parents like spend a lot of time trying to protect kids from that guy out there, but that is a great age to start having conversations with your kids about how not to be that guy, because a lot of kids will be that guy on accident, right?
Yeah.
Like say something hurtful or thoughtless.
All of us who grew up before the digital age are very lucky. But how do you have the talk with kids about sexuality in a way that, they're not embarrassed to come to us? We have that open dialogue. How does that begin?
Well, I think it's important to kind of remember, well, one, so it's not the talk, right? It's
not the talk.
Right. But yeah, a bunch of short little bursts of energy that you can do over time. Again, hopefully, ideally, we start when our kids are young and then they just get used to it as we go. Most of the time, like the big secret is that the kids aren't actually all that freaked out about it. Like kids, especially today, like, this Gen Z cohort that we're talking about, like they understand, they know all the words, they've heard everything already, they have opinions about this stuff, right? Like you're not necessarily going to freak them out talking about the sex. It's often the grownups that bring the baggage and the, oh my God, this is going to be so awkward, to the conversation. And if we can let that go and just treat it like a factual thing, right? Sexuality happens in the world, we can do that. Oftentimes I find myself, talking parents off ledges because it's so awkward and so horrible. And I say, we have these muscles already. Like we talk to our kids about holding on to the handrail so they don't tumble down flights of stairs. We don't like the idea of our kids flying through a windshield. So we talk about seatbelts or crossing the street so they don't get mushed by a bus. So for a lot of parents, if you're resisting talking about this stuff with your kid, it's really about your uncomfortability. And if that's the only reason that's holding you back, you kind of got to get over it.
That's on you.
That's on you. It's on you. Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, really, truly, the dangers that could happen by not talking about it are pretty great, right? And is that something you address in your series?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's going to be a great, a big, nice, healthy dose of Q&A in it too, that this invariably comes up in, right? So, parents are like, I don't really know where to start. I don't know what to say. What happens if I just sort of like sit back and let's see how it goes? And honestly, I sort of cue parents to say, like, think about whatever that thing was when you were 13, right? That word that you didn't know what it meant that you heard on the playground or at lunch. that thing that you were curious about, or for parents, like what is the one thing like you really do not want to have a conversation with your kid about, fill in the blank, right? And then go Google fill in the blank. This stuff can be really intimidating, but with a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of information, like it's totally like easy for parents to have these conversations with our kids in a really healthy way that will benefit both of us, right, as we all get older.
So much great information. And Jo's virtual talk is part of Recovery Cafe's Kids and Screens series. It's this Thursday, December 16th at 7 o'clock. Just visit the website on your screen to register. All of these events have been free of charge thanks to the generous support of the Snoqualmie tribe.